Um, so before we start, a little bit about who am I. So I'm a wildlife photographer. I've been photographing nature and wildlife for the last 15 years, and photography in general for the last 20 years. I'm a Nikon Ambassador Europe, as well as Lowepro, Gitzo, SanDisk Professional, and Global Greenpeace Ambassador to the Arctic and the Antarctic. I'm also a member of the Explorers Club, and I'm a board member for several NGOs on wildlife conservation and nature. So I'm very happy to spread the love of nature and spread the urgency of taking care of nature, because I think we all have a huge responsibility in doing that. And especially as photographers and nature photographers, we are the ambassadors of nature. I mean, we are the ones experiencing it, its highlights and its difficulties, and we need to pass the message onward to people all over the world. So, um, first of all, where is South Georgia? So, South Georgia is in the South Atlantic, right next to Antarctica. So, if we zoom in on the Antarctic area, you can see that this is South America, where Punta Arenas is written. This is South America, Tierra del Fuego. We have the Falkland Islands, or Isla Malvinas, depending on where you live, South Georgia Islands, and we have the Antarctic Peninsula down there. So the way we get from the Falklands to South Georgia, because there is no airport in South Georgia, the only way to get there is with a boat, with a ship. So we board our ship in the Falkland Islands from Stanley, and from there we go around the Falklands, head all the way to South Georgia, and then back to the Falklands. So this is the way to get there. So before we start talking about South Georgia, let's talk a little bit about the Falkland Islands. So the Falkland Islands, or Isla Malvinas, is two main islands, basically, and a lot of smaller ones. And so we have the West Falklands and the East Falklands. And the area is about 12,000 square kilometers, which is 4,700 square miles, but only 3,000 people live there. So it's a very small community on quite a large piece of land. Of course, it's owned by England, although disputed by Argentina. We even had the Falkland War in 1982, where the Argentinians tried to take over and took over for a little while the Falkland Islands, or Isla Malvinas, and then Margaret Thatcher, with the United Kingdom fleet, came storming over and took back the Falklands for the British Crown. So this is what the Falklands are about. So Port Stanley, the capital of the Falklands, is a very nice, calm British town. Everything is very British about this place. Of course, they use the British pound as well, but they have English gardens and English tea and a lot of the English British traditions over there. Of course, we have a lot of debris and a lot of wrecks from the war, from the Falkland War in 1982. So you can also see a lot of that over there. But one of the things that the Falklands are famous for, besides bad weather and a lot of ship, is the albatross. So they have the black-browed albatrosses nesting over there. So this is typical Falkland landscape. No trees, very windy, very exposed, nowhere to hide from the wind or the rain. And of course, nature is very revealing over there. So the animals are not afraid of people, and we have mostly bird life over there. So this is one of the prey birds over there. This is the caracara. And of course, they eat a lot of the seagulls, the penguins, the albatrosses. So whatever they can get their beak on, they will try to eat. So basically, that's one of the things that we see a lot over there. And oops, wait, for some reason it's kicked me out. Yeah. And then we have the albatrosses, the black-browed albatrosses that are nesting in the Falklands. And of course, these are one of the biggest bird species in the world with the biggest wingspan in the world. So these are albatrosses. So they fly really close to the water, and of course, they feed on fish. So we have parents with their chicks feeding them, and you can actually get pretty close to the nesting albatrosses, and they really don't mind you being there as long as you don't try to do anything funny. The people of the Falklands are very hospitable, and this is a woman, which I forgot her name. I'm so sorry, I forgot her name. And we spent some time over there. She was a great hostess, and she baked a lot of cookies and tea and everything for us to enjoy. And they live in the middle of nowhere, basically. So I guess it was quite exciting for them to have some guests over. So again, this was an amazing experience to meet some of the local people. Besides the albatrosses, we also have penguins. So these are rockhopper penguins, and they also nest in the Falkland among the rocks. So we have parents with babies, with chicks, and of course we have a lot of grooming going on between males and females, and I think they're pretty cool. Not only rockhoppers, we also have Gentoo penguins, which are one of the most common kind of penguins that you can see. So they are going in and out of the water. And also we have a lot of nesting Magellanic penguins. So these are also very common inhabitants of the Falklands. So here you can see two parents and their chick. Here we have a penguin dressed up like the Little Mermaid. So it's also pretty awesome to see that. But this dirt is just krill that was just got the furthest dirty. So this is the way it looks like from around on the shoreline, and that's me. And behind me, there's an elephant seal. You can see it's a selfie with an elephant seal. So we have also a little bit of elephant seals, very few, mostly young ones, young males, not a lot of action going on over there, but the action is coming later in the South Georgia island. So without further ado, after we spent about a day and a half in the Falklands just visiting those 3-4 locations, we continue onwards, crossing the South Atlantic Ocean for about 2 days until we reach South Georgia. So South Georgia Island is an amazingly beautiful island. I think it's one of the most amazing islands in the world. It's actually being referred to as the Galapagos of Antarctica, just in the sense that you have a lot of rich wildlife environments in the South Atlantic. So the size of South Georgia is 3,900 square kilometers, but only 30 people-ish live there. All of them work for the British Crown. They're part of in the capital, in Grytviken. And of course, the local language is English. So it was discovered in 1675 by Anthony de la Roche, which was a London merchant, and he found it first, and he called it La Roche Island. And then again, the Spanish came there in 1756, and a Spanish exploring vessel found it, and they saw it in St. Peter's Day, so they called this island Isla San Pedro. Later on, James Cook came there in 1775, and he claimed South Georgia for the British Crown, and since then it's under British rule, with a short brief period in the Falkland War, where it was also taken by the Argentinian fleet, but quickly regained by the British Crown. So South Georgia, you can see that we have a lot of locations that we like going to. And if you pay close attention, all of them are on the East Coast. So the East Coast of South Georgia is really, really, really where the action is. And if you look at the south of South Georgia, you can see that there is a place called Cape Disappointment. Okay, which is kind of a funny name to name a place, Cape Disappointment. So why is that called Cape Disappointment? So when Captain James Cook found South Georgia again for the third time in 1775, he thought that this is part of Antarctica. So he went down exploring the island, and he thought, yeah, this is it, we're reaching there, we found it. And then when they reached the southern tip of South Georgia, he found that it's an island and not connected to Antarctica. So he called it Cape Disappointment after the disappointment he had when he discovered that this is not the southernmost continent. So this is South Georgia. Zooming in, just to show you how it looks like from space, you can also see that it's covered with ice and glaciers. So you can see a lot of glaciers leading all the way to the ocean. And you can see also the pale blue, light blue kind of color. This is meltwater coming in from the glaciers of South Georgia. So this is a part of the ecosystem of South Georgia. A lot of fjords, a lot of amazing huge mountains reaching all the way to almost 3,000 meters in altitude. And this is, again, I remind you, in the middle of nowhere. So the thing that is most unique about South Georgia is the giant colonies of king penguins. So each colony is between 100, 150,000 all the way to 300, 400,000 king penguins in each colony. So these are huge colonies, as you can see here. This is a time lapse, and you can see the penguins going in and out, moving around, going to eat, coming back from the ocean. So we can see that the adults are the darker ones with the ones that look like king penguins, and the brown ones are actually the young penguins. So the adults don't like the young ones, so they just put them together in nurseries, and then when it's feeding time, they come over and they communicate through singing, through their voice. And so the parent actually calls their young chick, and the young chick that recognizes their parent's calling just comes running over there and chases the parent until the parent actually is convinced that it's their young and not somebody else trying to steal their food. And then they feed that young penguin. So this is how the colonies look like. This is a place called Salisbury Plains. This is another colony. You can see this is a teenager actually losing his or her feather, the brown feather, then brown plumage, and only presenting the adult plumage. So you have a lot of the penguins around. Every penguin is, I think it's beautiful. The king penguin is actually the second tallest penguin in the world, second only to the emperor penguin, which actually they look quite similar. So the emperor penguins are only in Antarctica itself, and they are one of the two only species of penguins that actually winter in Antarctica. So the emperors are actually taller, reaching 120 centimeters in height, and the kings actually reach about 90 to a meter, 90 centimeters to 1 meter. So we have a lot of these behaviors on the shoreline, getting in and out of the water. We have some mating going on and a lot of romantic moments over there, which is, again, for me, it's actually one of the most beautiful things to see how they communicate. And of course, they're raising their young chicks. So you have here a parent and the youngster, and the young penguin tries to convince the parent to feed them. This little guy thought that I'm his or her parent. And you can see this is with a wide angle lens. This is with a 24 to 70 f2.8. So you have a lot of beautiful places over there. This is a place called Gold Harbor, which I think is the most beautiful place in South Georgia, as far as I'm concerned. And you have an amazing colony of king penguins just underneath this huge glacier on top of the mountain. So that glacier on top of the mountain was actually covering the entire plains that you see in the bottom. So this entire thing was covered with ice. Everything has melted and receded, and this glacier on top of the mountain is actually a remnant of the giant glacier that just a century ago reached all the way to the ocean. So everything is again changing over there, just as it is in the high Arctic. So Antarctica really influences the South Georgia island because the Antarctic circumpolar current, okay, the current that goes around Antarctica, actually goes above north to South Georgia. So South Georgia is basically within the Antarctic waters. So it's heavily influenced by the Antarctic climate. Here you can see there is a lot of there is king penguins. You can see the males guarding the eggs, and in the back, I'll show it again. In the back, we have a skua that actually feeds on penguin eggs and chicks. So those penguins really don't like the skuas. And you can hear now how they communicate and how they're calling between themselves. I hope you can hear the sound. No, no, now you can hear the sound. So I fixed it. I hope you can hear it now. So this is what it looks like when we're there. Okay, so it's just an amazing place. There's also fur seals on the shore, and you can see how everything is together. So you see us with the zodiac, and you can see the fur seals just walking around the penguins, and us, and a skua just flying over the penguins, trying to find something to eat. And basically, this is how it looks like behind the scenes. So this is me photographing, and this is my assistant photographer, and that's me just going around the penguins. You can see that they don't really care about me being there, so you can get super, super, super close. And this is again one of the reasons why it's called Galapagos of Antarctica, just because you can get super close to the wildlife. And here you can see me with one of the fur seals. And so fur seals are also something that we can find a lot of. So we're there in October. So in October, this is before the big males are coming. So we have we're more safe. Okay, we're safer without the big males. So you can see the big difference in size between the males and the females. So the males are gigantic and the females are super tiny. So the males are actually 20 times as heavy as the female. And this is because the males are fighting for the right to mate. So they have to be big to defeat the other males. The baby fur seals, the pups, are also really, really sweet. This is a blonde pup that I was photographing, which put on quite a show. And I think it's really cool to see. And just look how sweet she is. And this photo is actually for me, it reminded me like an anti-racism kind of photo. I like the United Colors of Benetton, which I think it's really cool. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're blonde or dark hair. I mean, everyone's together, and they're cute. They make the funniest and sweetest faces, and you can see the pups playing together. And of course, sometimes you have a big male coming over to chase you around, and then you're going away, but you can always come back and be there in a safe way. So, and of course, we have the elephant seals. So the elephant seals are one of the main reasons why we're going there. So in this time of the year, in October. So October is the time where the males are fighting for the right to mate. So you have all the big males, all the big bulls coming over to South Georgia, fighting each other to control the harems and mate with the females. So that happens only in October until early November. And at that point, once the males finish their mating, they go away, okay? And the females are left behind with the young males, and then they give birth, and the circle continues. So basically, this is why we want to be there in October, to be there with the big males, to see the fighting, to be there at springtime when we still have snow, and see and photograph all the king penguins in the giant colonies, with the snow, with the baby penguins, with the mating going on. And of course, we have all the other animals as well. So South Georgia is home to 7 million penguins. 7 million penguins on a 3,900 square kilometers island, okay? So it's really packed full of wildlife. We have macaroni penguin, we have gentle penguin, of course we have the king penguin, and we have many other kind of birds on the island. So this is why I'm super excited to be there this October, which I've never been in October. I gotta be honest, this is my first time in October, and this is why I'm super excited. These photos were taken in January, actually. So this photo of 3 young elephant seal males, and you can see that they're like opera singers. Okay, so this is why I like this photo. It's really funny. They also won an award in the Comedy Wildlife Award, which is also pretty cool. And we, of course, we have Grytviken. Grytviken is the capital of South Georgia. And not only does the administrative center is there with the manager of South Georgia appointed by the British Crown, and we have also other people that are in charge of guarding this amazing place, making sure that nobody harasses the animals and everybody that comes have a permit and everything's controlled and regulated, because all of the landings in South Georgia are restricted to only 100 people at a time. Okay, so no more than 100 people at a time are allowed to be on the same beach and same landing site in South Georgia. This is why it's crucial to be there on a small ship, maximum 100 people, to get an intimate view of South Georgia. And one of the coolest things that we can see in South Georgia is actually the tombstone, the grave of the great Sir Ernest Shackleton. So he's buried there in South Georgia. And for those of you who don't know who Shackleton was, I'll share with you his briefly his story and why South Georgia is such an important place for him. So Shackleton went on a very brave expedition to Antarctica. And on the way to the expedition, you can see that he went down south, where you can see number 1 on the screen. And as he went south in February 1915, he got stuck in the ice where the red becomes blue, and he got stuck in the ice, and they couldn't get out for a period of 10 months. So they were carried around by the drifting sea ice until November, when the ship crushed by the heavy ice. So by that point, they had to rescue themselves, and they went with dog sleds all the way to Elephant Island. They had 2 rescue boats, and they reached Elephant Island, where Shackleton left most of his men and went only with a small ship, with a small rescue boat, lifeboat, and he reached South Georgia. And when he reached South Georgia, he came back later the next season with an expedition to rescue the remaining members of his expedition on the Endeavour. So this is the Endeavour, the ship that Shackleton led and when it was stuck in the ice. And these are some photos when it got crushed by the ice. And when they started moving around the ice to reach Elephant Island, they used the men to drag their lifeboats all the way until it was they had enough open water and they could get to Elephant Island. And on this lifeboat, Shackleton and a few of his men went across the ocean with his navigator and reached South Georgia Island. And there they crossed the island by foot because they landed on the west side on the island and they needed to reach the east side. And then they went to a whaler's station. And from there, Shackleton was and his team were rescued. And later on they got to the island and rescued the rest of his men. Fortunately, from Shackleton's expedition, this expedition, there was another one that didn't do as well on the other side of Antarctica because they were supposed to cross the Antarctic continent by land, of course. From his group, nobody died. Everybody survived. But later, when Shackleton went on another expedition, he had a heart attack, he died, and he was buried in South Georgia Island in Grytviken. So there is a tradition so that people that get to Grytviken, they pour some whiskey on his grave so we can honor his legacy. And he was a whiskey lover. So this is a story about Shackleton and his connection to South Georgia Island. So for those of you who want to go to South Georgia, it is possible. So we have the entire ship. We chartered the entire ship. I'm the expedition leader. I'm leading this expedition from the Falklands to South Georgia, back to the Falklands, 15 days on this expedition vessel called the Magellan Explorer. So this ship, it's only we have only 90 people on board and 90 guests. It's a really cool vessel, really high end. It was launched in 2019, so it's brand new. It has state-of-the-art stabilizers, so you don't feel the waves as bad as you would without it. And we have a selection of cabin categories, so you can choose which category you want, of course, pending availability. We have only 5 last cabins left, only 10 spots remained, okay, which is quite amazing. The trip is in October 14th until October 28th, okay, 15-day expedition. And it starts at $12,900 US. And again, for 15 days in Antarctica on this ship, I mean, it's an amazing, amazing, amazing expedition for an amazing price. And we did try our best to keep it as low as possible, as you can see. Around the ship, we also have a sauna and a gym, and we have amazing food, and we have amazing amenities, an amazing team. We have 16 guides on such a small expedition group. And so everything is included except for the flights, of course. So we need to get to the Falklands, and back out of the Falkland. So besides that, practically everything else is included. So the trip is for people who love nature and photographers. So it's not just photographers. About half the ship is not photographers and half the ship are photographers. So it's not only for photographers, but it is photography oriented. So we will be at the best places at the best time of the day for the best light, for the best action. So we are aiming at that. So yes, we have the entire boat, and these are questions that were sent to me before that. So I just wrote it here while we were waiting for the talk to start. So we have the entire boat for ourselves, and that gives us the most amazing flexibility, and we can do whatever we want because we have the entire ship, and we can be more time on shore. We can be there early morning for sunrise, and so on and so on. What's special about this trip? So it's basically, it's a funny question, but it's 15 days to South Georgia, out of which 8 days we are in South Georgia. So we have all the time to be in the best locations at the best time of the day. And even if we have some bad weather, we won't lose so much. So in the previous time I was there, I did a trip that did South Georgia, Antarctica, Falklands, and of course back to South America. And we only had 3 days in South Georgia, of which one day we had bad weather. So we only had 2 days in South Georgia. And this is why I really wanted to do this properly. Okay. And this is why we also have a lot of the guests who already joined this trip are people who have been on the big trip, including South Georgia and Antarctica and the Falklands, and now doing this again because South Georgia is where it's at. Okay, this is where the action is. Okay, how bad is the sea? So people are afraid of the ocean, and rightfully so. So this is not crossing the Drake Passage. Okay, so it's not the rough Drake Passage Sea. It's not. But we might have some waves, and this is why we have very strong stabilizers on board the ship, which actually reduces the effect of the waves on the ship. And we time our crossing depending on the sea conditions. So if we see that the sea is flat, we'll go directly from the Falklands to South Georgia. If we see that we have some rough seas, then we will stay in the Falklands for a day or two. We have a lot of things to do there as well, and then cross the ocean to South Georgia. So again, we're trying our best to keep the wave impact the minimum possible. So we have to be fit? How cold is it? It's not so cold. It's going to be about 0 degrees centigrade, 30 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not so cold compared to where we are in the world, of course. So dress properly, dress warm. But we might have days of +10. We might have days of -5. So bring your ski clothes, okay, basically. People ask me if they have to be fit. No, you don't have to be fit. We do have options for people who do like to hike. And then people can do that in like walking for 2 hours. And then we have activities for people who can't walk. And those people can stay on the shore. They don't have to be fit. They don't have to walk around. And then you don't have to be fit. So it's for every age, for every fitness level that you can think of. And then you don't have to worry about it. Who guides it? So first of all, I'm the expedition leader, so I'm going to be there guiding it. Plus, we have another big team that will be there with me. So these are specialists for South Georgia. So we have a marine biologist, and we have a historian, and we have a geologist, and we have everything. So you won't be alone. We have a lot of content. So you will be presented with a lot of content about South Georgia and about the expedition. So don't worry about it. No, there will be no moment wasted, okay, basically, because there's just so much to talk about. How much is the shore time? So we will be ashore as long as we can, but you don't have to be there so long. If you've had enough, you can go back to the ship. If you want more, you can stay for more. But we will try to do as much shore time as possible, because we didn't go all this way and not be on the shore. Okay, so what is the cabin availability? So right now we have a few spots in the veranda category, and we have 5 rooms in the veranda deluxe category. So the price point is about $14,800 and $15,800. Cancellation policy. So since we are just 4 months ahead of the trip, so it is already people who sign up basically want to go. So we are past the cancellation point, because we have had that option last year. But now, again, because this is the last 10 spots and the trip is in 4 months, we do have 14-day money back guarantee. But after that, you're in. How many people are aboard? So we have about 90 people aboard, plus our team, which are 60 people in the team. So we have staff and crew. And so that's total of 90 guests. How do we get there? So how do we fly to the Falklands? So basically we fly to Santiago de Chile, and from Santiago de Chile, the capital of Chile, we fly through Punta Arenas, and from Punta Arenas in South Chile, we fly to Mount Pleasant in the Falkland Islands. So this is how we get there. It's not too bad, depending on where you're coming from. But yeah, is there internet? The answer is yes. We have internet, satellite internet on board. 1 gigabyte costs $50, so it's not to watch YouTube or just scroll around Instagram, but it is for WhatsApp messages. You can do your Instagram and do whatever you want, emails, but just keep in mind that you don't want to spend the entire gigabyte, doing nothing. So what's the difference between this and Antarctica? Antarctica is very different. Antarctica is it's another continent. It is penguins both way. So South Georgia has a lot more penguins that we see in the colonies, just because the colonies are huge. There are hundreds of thousands of penguins in each colony, and we have the elephant seals, which are an amazing sight on its own. But Antarctica has a lot more ice. Okay. A lot more ice. There we have different kinds of penguins. We have more whales. So we have different ecosystems in between Antarctica and South Georgia. It is, for those who asked about sailing between South Georgia and Antarctica, it's a 3-day sail. So it's not so close to South Georgia. It's like visiting Spain and London. It's not that close. So that's why we're separated the two trips into two different the two locations into two different trips. For those who want to see South Georgia, this is the trip to go. For those who want Antarctica, because it's a different place, a different trip, then we couldn't do it together. Just a sec, I'm trying to fix something, so we couldn't do this, and this is why we're doing it separately. We're doing this and that in different locations, different trips. And how can you join? So if you want to join, of course, you're welcome to contact me or contact us through the email. We have the last 5 rooms, okay? So it's not a lot. And in Antarctica is a different trip. If you want to join me in Antarctica, I'm guiding an expedition to Antarctica between January 1st and January 10th in 2024. So that's this January. And with my trip, we're doing 10 days Antarctica with a flight over the Drake Passage and the flight back over the Drake Passage. So we don't have to cross the Drake, okay? Because the Drake Passage, I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's a nightmare, okay? The roughest sea in the world, waves reaching 6, 7, 8 meters, 10 meters. I've even heard of people who went there with 12 meters of waves, which is crazy. And and this year when I was there in end of January, there were 3 ships that couldn't get to Antarctica because the waves were too high. So they had to turn around and head back to Ushuaia. So with the flight, it's way easier. You don't have to suffer 2-hour flight instead of 2 days at sea. So this is about Antarctica. So if you want Antarctica, that's also an option. Just contact us through the email. Okay. So now we have some time for further questions if you have, because I did try to answer the questions that people asked me before this talk started. And if you have more questions, of course, you're welcome to ask. And if you want to join, of course, you're welcome to join. Just contact us through the email or contact me directly, or you can just ask me anything you want through the chat. Which lenses do I recommend? Okay, Tapan is asking which lenses do I recommend. To South Georgia, I recommend wide angle, basically 24 to 70, just because it's such an amazing sight to be so close. So 24-70, 70 to 200, and f2.8 if you have that. Plus, I'd say another one if you want like 400 millimeters, but you don't really need anything more than that. So I wouldn't bring a 600 millimeter lens to South Georgia just because it's not necessary. And getting there and using a wide angle lens, I think it's the best way to get that huge impact of the penguin colonies. So my favorite lenses would be 24 to 70 and 70 to 200 millimeter. That would be my advice. Yeah. Any other questions that you might have? So Again, feel free to ask any questions. South Georgia is October 14th to the 28th, 2023. So that's in 4 months' time. So again, we have 5 last rooms. Oli is asking, do you have to Antarctica in December? Yes, we have Antarctica in December, guided by Yara from our team. And December is actually the cheapest month to go to Antarctica, cheaper than January. So we do have that option. It starts at $11,000 with the flight over the Drake Passage, an 8-day tour, which is, again, it's an amazing trip. But just keep in mind that that being there in December isn't as good as being there in January in terms of the wildlife. So also with my trip, it's a bit longer, so it's 10 days and not 8 days. So we're going further south and we're going to more locations. So you can choose if you want the cheaper option, which is, again, an amazing opportunity, or you'd like the extended version in January, the high season, where we have more action, where the chicks are already hatched. So we have more action, and this is another option. Okay, so you can choose. Yeah. Do we have more questions? Arya, Giora, George, we have any questions, feel free to ask. Smadar. So we have Yasmin. In January, somebody's asking, in January for Antarctica, can you tell the cost? Yeah, also Rajesh is asking for the cost in January. So I think it's a good question. So in January, the cost for my trip that I'm guiding starts at $16,000. So it's $16,000 per person starting at, okay, depending on the room that you choose, including the flight over the Drake Passage. So the flight over the Drake Passage, it's not a commercial flight, it's a chartered flight, it's a private jet. Just because there are no flights to Antarctica, we land in Antarctica. We're landing on King George Island on a gravel runway, and from there we're going to go on the Zodiacs, going down south, reaching all the way to the Antarctic polar circle, reaching really south to 66 degrees 33 minutes south, and then we're going to go back to King George Island and fly back to Punta Arenas from there. So if you want a room for a twin room for 2 people, the better option is $18,495. So that's the cost for Antarctica in January, which is, again, the high season in terms of wildlife and a longer trip, 10 days. Is it the same way in December, or he's asking? So it is 2 days shorter, so it's 8 days. It is with a flight, or the flights are the same. The flights over the Drake Passage, yes, that is the same. Yeah, so basically, again, December is way cheaper because it's, first of all, it's before the high season starts. And second reason is because it's 2 days shorter, it's 8-day trip. Yeah. Can you repeat the dates for South Georgia? Oh yeah, yes, of course. So the dates for South Georgia is October 14th until the 28th. 14th to 28th of October. So it's 15 days. We fly there on Saturday, and we fly back on Saturday. So it's 14th to the 28th of October. We have the entire ship for ourselves, brand new ship. All cabins, most cabins, have balconies, private balconies, which is pretty cool. And again, it's a fast ship, it's a good ship, and it's the best dates to be in South Georgia, basically. Accommodation for the entire 15-day will be on the ship, right? Yes, Tapan, you're right. Accommodation for the entire 5 days will be on the ship. The ship is our hotel, it's our vehicle, it's our home. And the same for the Antarctic one. Yeah, so the night before, the first night and the last night are actually in Antarctica. The first night and the last night are in Punta Arenas, just because the flight is scheduled for day 2 and day 7. But that could change just because of weather. So now when I was there in January, actually the flight was on the first day. So we didn't sleep in Punta Arenas. We flew immediately to Antarctica. So everything could change depending on the weather. So basically, this is it for Antarctica. The price is assuming double occupancy. The price is for double occupancy per person. So again, depending on the room, depending on the cabin that you choose. Yes, yeah, I really recommend, because you have a lot of good questions. Yeah, please contact us directly through the email, and we can talk on the phone and explain further. So again, just I wrote you the email that we have, and you can contact us. So the price again for South Georgia, Rajesh is also asking. The price for South Georgia starts at $12,900 per person, but I think we are out of these rooms. So I think the only rooms we have is $14,800 and $15,800 US dollars. So these are the last rooms that we have. So all the suites, the big rooms, the suites, the penthouse suite and everything were taken first. We ran out of those too quickly. But we still have, and also the cheapest room ran out first. And so we only have the mid-level, which are amazing. It's 22 square meter room with a private balcony. Really, really good rooms. Okay. Rajesh is asking if we have triple occupancy cabins. The answer is we do not have triple occupancy. We ran out of those just because people just took those first. These are for South Georgia, I mean. For Antarctica, we still have triple occupancy cabins for Antarctica. If it is important for you, Rajesh, to have a triple occupancy cabins, we can organize something with the suites. Okay, so we can connect 2 rooms, and then we can make a triple. But again, it's not recommended, only if it's really important for you. But it won't be cheaper if that's the question. How many rooms are left in December? Oli is asking. So I think we have 6 rooms left for December. Okay, so you can still sign up for December. Of course, just contact us. I wrote the email info@phototeva.co.il. Rajesh will consider 2024. More interested in South Georgia. Been to Antarctica before. That's awesome, Rajesh. I'm really happy that you've been to Antarctica. I think South Georgia is better. Okay, and Rajesh, I really would recommend coming on 2023. And also MD Nasirul, I really recommend coming in 2023, because in 2023, this year, we have a better itinerary because we have the entire ship. So for next year, the trip is for 2024, the trip, we already have all the details. Okay, this is what I can tell you. It will be longer. It will be 17 days. And we will start from Punta Arenas and end in Punta Arenas in Chile, and not in the Falkland Islands, just because the flights to Falkland Islands aren't that common. And this is why it's going to be 17 days. It's going to be more expensive because it's 17 days. So it's going to be more expensive next year than this year. So you have to take that into account. So basically, I would recommend coming this year because we have less wasted time because we start in Falkland and in North Falkland. Rajesh is saying that 2023 paid for Churchill for polar bears. Okay, first of all, it's cool that you're going to Churchill. If you like polar bears, I would recommend Svalbard. I know that it's better than Churchill. But if you already paid, I mean, of course, if you can't postpone 2023 to 2024, the Churchill polar bears, just because it's going to be there any time, I mean, any year. If you can postpone, I would postpone and come for South Georgia. And if you want some advice on polar bears, of course, Rajesh, you're welcome to contact me either through my Facebook or Instagram or through my email. and I'll be happy to give you some advice on polar bears because I've been to Svalbard 25 times already. I have been photographing hundreds of polar bears, including for films for the BBC and other channels as well, including National Geographic and etc. and other places as well. MD Nasrul, you prefer all details in email? Of course. Just send me an email. And again, I'm writing the email here. Just write me an email, and I'll send you all the information through email. Just email us, and we'll send you everything. Okay. Also, Rajesh, I'll be happy to assist. Also, Oli, if you want to join for December, we'll be happy to have you on board. And of course, anyone else who has any further questions, just feel free to ask. Will this Zoom, Yasmin is asking, will this Zoom will be repeated? I would like to inform some friends by WhatsApp. So it won't be repeated just because the trip is in a minute, basically. But we do have it recorded. So this is being recorded right now. Yasmin, you can we can send you a recording of this so you can inform your friends by WhatsApp. And Yasmin, also, if you want, contact me through the email. And if you want to have some friends over as well, more than welcome. Oli is asking if we can see bears in Antarctica. No, there are no polar bears in Antarctica, as just exactly like there's no penguins in the Arctic. So basically, a polar bear never saw a penguin in the wild. Okay, these are just lies spread by children's show. Okay, so no polar bears in Antarctica, no bears at all. Sorry. So just yeah, yeah, no bears in Antarctica. You're not the first person asking me that, so don't feel bad. But yeah, no polar bears. Any other questions? Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for being here today. Today is it's Nature Photography Day, by the way. So happy Nature Photography Day to everybody who's watching this. I would love to see you in South Georgia. I'll be guiding it, or Antarctica. I'll be guiding that as well, or in Svalbard with polar bears, where you can see polar bears, Oli. And so just feel free to contact me through the email, and I'll be happy to answer all your questions. And if you want to join, again, we have just 5 cabins left for South Georgia. So please be quick about that for 2023, just because, again, 2023 is better than 2024, just because we have a better ship, the entire ship for ourselves, and we have an amazing trip starting at Falkland and ending at the Falkland, so we don't have any wasted time. And it's cheaper, way cheaper by $3,000 than 2024. Okay, so I would highly recommend coming this year. But again, if you can't come this year, come next year. Okay, we'll still be doing that. Okay, just it's going to be a little bit different because of the start and finish in Punta Arenas. So thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day. Have a great evening. Thank you, Arya. Thank you, everybody that have been here. And thank you, Rajesh. And thank you, MD and Tapan County. So thank you, everybody. And I hope to see you soon. And have a great day. Bye for now.